Latest news across Scotland. This is Jambo Radio. Renfrewshire Council and the area's Citizens Advice Bureau will continue to work together to support those who are struggling to pay council tax. The local authority had collaborated with the Bureau on a short-term project which was funded by the Scottish Government. However, the project ended in March, but a report to the Fairer Renfrewshire Subcommittee confirmed the two organisations will continue to cooperate on the subject. The Scottish Government has turned down a request for a public inquiry into two fires at the Glasgow School of Arts. The former Culture Committee said a number of issues required further examination. However, Cultural Secretary Angus Robertson said he did not support the recommendation. On the 23rd of May 2014, a fire caused extensive damage to the A-listed Macintosh building, which was designed by Charles René Macintosh. An even more devastating blaze broke out near the end of a £35 million restoration project in June 2018. A report in 2022 did not find a cause. Douglas Ross has announced he will resign as the leader of the Scottish Conservatives. He will carry on in the role until after the election and will also resign as a member of the Scottish Parliament if he is re-elected to Westminster. This is said to be due to growing pressures over his multiple roles in the party and fresh allegations about improper expenses claims. The body of TV Dr. Michael Mosley was discovered on a hillside on the Greek island of Symi on Sunday the 9th of June, just meters from the sanctuary of a bar and a restaurant. CCTV footage appeared to show Dr. Mosley falling close to where his body was found. As his widow said, he nearly made it. It is yet unclear how he died. Greek coroners have removed his body to Rhodes for a post-mortem. And now for African news. An African aircraft carrying Malawi Vice Presidents Saulus Klaus Chilima and 9 others has gone missing. Malawi's presidency said Chilima was aboard a Malawi Defence Force aircraft that left the capital Lilongwe at 9:17 on Monday the 10th of June and was scheduled to land at Mzuzu International Airport at 10:02. Malawi's Office of the President and Cabinet said in a statement, all efforts by aviation authorities to make contact with the aircraft since it went off the radar have failed so far. And that's the latest from Jambo Newsroom. I'm Andrew Biney.
Need security? Call Alpha One Plus Limited, a strategic security resourcing platform that connects you with licensed security personnel. We cater for our clients' security needs, from manned guarding, door supervision, event security, all the way up to close personal protection. Alpha One Plus Limited, your one-stop security solution. Call now at 44-074-2526-7909 or send us an email on info@alphaoneplus.com.
Established in 2006 as one of Glasgow's original mobile massage therapists, we deliver high-quality treatments with the ambition to forge permanent relations with clientele. We specialise in on-site massage, a type of treatment that has been specifically designed to complement the convenience and availability of massage at work. It is performed with the use of a specialist mobile chair, without the use of oils or the need to remove clothing. At Massage and Glow, we believe that massage should be a part of your everyday lifestyle. Regular massage not only relieves stress and tension, but also stimulates blood circulation, can help with pain management, and promotes good mental health. A must for your busy schedule. Various holistic therapies available. Contact us now on 07530 905 152 for your mobile massage therapist.
You are listening to Jambo Radio Scotland, online on your smart speakers and on DAB digital radio in Edinburgh and Glasgow. You can download the Jambo Radio app on Google Play and App Store. Now, it's time for our conversations with inspirational individuals in Scotland and beyond. This is a moment with Sade and Enoch.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Moments with Sade and Enoch. I am Enoch and my co-host.
Hi everyone, I'm Sade.
And our guests.
Hi everyone, I'm Abby.
And our final guest.
And I'm John.
So we've got, it's going to be an interesting show today. And today we'll be talking about interracial parenting. So a few weeks ago we covered interracial relationships, so sort of taking it to the next level. So hopefully it will be an interesting conversation.
It's
and
going to be an interesting
John and Abby have got a lot of some
I
really
can
good
tell
chats
already.
to share with
I
us.
can tell already.
So you can join us in the studio if you want to ask a question or you want to, share comments. So you can call us on 0141 530 2787, or you can text us on 0745 990 6822, and that's also a WhatsApp number.
Yep. And if you're on social media, of course, you can find us on Facebook, Jambo Radio Scotland. On Twitter, you can find us at Jambo Radio 1. And on Instagram, I think that's my favorite platform. You can find us at jamboradio.scotland. And if you want to send us an email, that's absolutely fine. The email address is info@jamboradio.co.uk. So like Enoch said, yes, communicate with us, send us comments, and let's just get interactive. It's not just one-sided, is it, Enoch?
No, it's not. And if those 6 modes of reaching us is not enough, you can just come knock on our door. You can knock on the studio door and hey, listen, ask your question. The main thing is we want to hear from you. Sade wants to hear from you.
And again, one thing I actually forgot to mention is you can also download Jambo Radio app on Apple or was that the other one?
Yep, you can download the
Play
app.
Play Store, that's it.
Correct. So the app is there, so you can watch as many shows as you want and listen to some other interesting conversations.
Yep.
Right, and I like starting with statistics. I'm a numbers guy, right? I'm an accountant. So 1 in 6, I'm surprised by this. So according to the latest Scottish census, which was done in 2022, 1 in 6 households are actually interracial. What do you think of that? Is that higher than you would have expected or lower?
That is definitely a lot higher.
Yeah, I was surprised as well. So that works out to roughly 17-18%, which is, I was thinking maybe 5-6, but it's actually pretty high.
Okay.
So you're in good company.
Oh, good.
You're no longer an anomaly. You're now part of the wider population. And so it will be interesting to understand, your own journey. You correct me if I'm wrong, I'm guessing you've got Nigerian heritage, Abby?
Yes.
And grew up in a Nigerian household?
Yes.
And then John, Scottish heritage, grew up in a Scottish household?
Yeah.
And now you've got two, can I say beautiful boys? Is that allowed? I think Sade should say that. You've got 2 boys. You've got 2 boys.
Yes.
You've got 2 boys. And I mean, I know them personally, amazing kids. So it'll be interesting to hear, your journey around parenting, coming from 2 different backgrounds, and so hopefully we can explore that over the next 45 minutes or so.
I'm already eager to know, and I think I'm going to start with Abby. So in less than
Ladies first, they say.
Ladies first, yeah. So no, it's fine. In less than 30 seconds, can you just tell our listeners who Abby is? Yeah.
Hi, my name is Abisola Patterson, and who am I?
You answer, not me.
I think you should do it the other way around. You should tell John to tell you who Abby is.
I like that
and
one.
then I'll tell you who John is.
Okay,
I like that
all
one.
right then.
I don't like that one.
We'll find out. Abby trying to.
You're gonna get in trouble no matter what you say.
All right. Okay, it's our guest their way, right?
Yes.
Okay,
So I'll tell you who
you
John
tell me
is.
Yes.
who John is.
So
in 30
John
seconds.
is this amazing, terrific father,
Okay.
husband, and most especially friend.
Oh, lovely.
You didn't tell us how tall John is. John is a tall guy.
Yes,
Like you
30
said,
seconds.
really tall.
He's quite tall because he's about 6'4", and I'm just about 5'7", but really 5'6". And
So you married up.
I married up.
I just made that
I did. And to be fair, I'd wondered after a few months of dating why I was having a sore neck and a sore back.
So it makes sense.
And then finally it clicked.
Right, John. Good luck.
John, okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, Abby's the same. Abby's amazing, great mum. The boys love her most of the time.
Most of the time.
Maybe not this morning, but
No.
most of the time. And I think been a great partner. I think we've had so much fun since we met. And I think we've been on a bit of a journey, I would say.
Yes, definitely.
I think, and what I'm sure we'll get into it, but
Yes.
the parenting, I think, as a family and kind of on our own, it was tough. But,
It was.
but Abby's done really well to get through, and I think you're starting to find your feet and get your kind of
professional
Yes,
life
find
back
me
on
again.
track, away from the parenting life.
Yes.
So
Yep.
yeah.
Fantastic. So we're gonna dive into the parenting, but just before and I know Sade can't wait to dive in. Do you want to tell us quickly? I don't know. Actually, you do it, John. How did you both meet? I mean, these were the days before Tinder, so you can't say Tinder.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a bit of a story, but
This is a test.
we met in Aberdeen. So I was studying up there. Abby was working. We'd met randomly on a night out, and she'd taken my phone.
Was it on Union Street by any chance?
It wasn't.
Can you remember where we met?
Well, I remember it was a burlesque night.
It was a burlesque night.
But and you took my number for a friend.
Oh, okay.
And the friend, I mean, I was a student, so I was.
Have you come when he was a student?
Mature student.
So took my number, and then I didn't really hear anything, but and then kind of got a text out of the blue a few months later. Asking to meet for a drink, and then she backtracked because she thought I was someone else.
Oh.
She got her Johns mixed up.
Okay.
And then I said, look, it's up
Might
to you.
as well.
I said, it's up to you. I said, I'm still up for meeting for a drink if you want, but if you don't want to,
It's fine.
no problem.
Wow.
And then we met up, and rest is history.
Like they say, yeah.
You know, a song can be made out of that. The wrong John turned out to
Yes.
be the right John.
Yes.
So who was the right John then? Do you know who that person was?
It's because there is a little bit of an age gap between us, but not that much. There's a 7-year age gap between us, and I did genuinely take his number for a friend.
Oh, okay.
And but I met another John who was a bit older, and then so I accidentally text
This John.
This John.
The better John.
Oh, this is interesting.
You've not named any of your kids John, have you?
Well, we're nearly. So Joshua technically should be John. So we've gone with a Joshua, so it's a JP.
Oh my God, this is actually interesting because I'm just here thinking, because for ladies, I don't know, let me speak for myself. When I was planning to get married, and I wasn't thinking race, I wasn't thinking anything. I was just thinking, let's just say I had an open mind. Was it the same for you? Have you always known? I think I've heard some people say, I know I'll just end up with maybe with someone that is not from my race, or we don't speak the same language. Have you ever been that kind of person, or it just happened?
No, I think I was quite lucky the way I was brought up. Both my parents were both Yoruba.
Okay.
And but because we lived in Lagos.
So Yoruba is a tribe in Nigeria.
So Yoruba is a tribe in Nigeria.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so both my parents spoke the same languages. They had similar backgrounds, same cultural heritage. But they were quite open with who we were friends with and people we had around us. So I was quite comfortable having friends from different regions of Nigeria.
Lovely. Okay.
And so I didn't really have a major issue with tribalism. So we didn't have that. So we were encouraged to be friends with everyone.
Okay.
So because I had that mindset, and then coming up to Scotland, again, it was the same mindset.
Okay.
It was more similar people, common interest, and because I love music, and John laughs at me because he thinks my musical taste is from like the 70s.
What's your favorite song?
So, mine's always Fela Kuti.
Oh,
So
really?
I'm a proper Fela Kuti girl.
Wow.
And I wanted to be a Fela Kuti dancer.
Wow.
And when I was in, I think SS2, I actually met Fela. So, and
Was that at the shrine or?
at his house. Well, I walked past his house because one of my friends was his cousin.
Okay.
Or nieces, I should say.
Okay.
So, but I didn't tell my parents that.
I'll go again to that, but okay.
So it just made it quite easy to sort of embark in a relationship with anyone as long as we had a similar mindset, not necessarily background, but mindset.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean,
that's
speaking of similar mindset, so this is for you, John. Would you say, coming from, she just said she grew up in a majorly Yoruba Nigerian culture, and you grew up in Scotland. Did you, or would you say, looking back now, that has any impact in your parenting, in your different parenting style? If there was if there were a different parenting style.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think our families are quite similar in terms of the way we've been brought up. We treat people, respect people. Probably the discipline. We share the same discipline stories with the kids. Back in my day, you wouldn't have got away with that. But yeah, I mean, I think we share a lot of the same values, which I think is quite important, especially with bringing up the kids. So I think very similar. And to be honest, I got on really well with your parents, don't I?
Yes.
So if you're saying that, John, it makes me feel like you didn't grow up in a traditional Nigerian household, if you get what I mean.
Yes. So I think the problem was not that the problem. The thing was my mum, from her group of friends, was always the wild one.
Okay.
And she was the firstborn in her family. She's the only girl, so she's been quite feisty and quite rebellious. So she's sort of she was a trailblazer. So she started all that.
Calm down.
And then my grandmother, again, she was an entrepreneur. She used to go to the market, buy her pepper wholesale, and then sell them. So she's Mama Lata. So it's just a family of really feisty women. So I think when I came along, my mom couldn't really say much because
she was
exactly. So it just made
that's
it
a scary
easier.
thought.
Well.
That's interesting. Also, it's good to know. So for the most part, based on what you're saying, John, you tend to agree on the same way you want to parent your kids. But I'm just thinking, do you have any instances where you just have a different opinion from what John is thinking? Has there been any?
I think there's probably been instances especially
like that,
with the school. I've had to sort of point out that having a biracial child or having a child with black ancestry or just non-white, we need to be a little bit more vigilant, and we can't just take certain things for granted. So there may be certain things I've had to explain and say to him, can you just watch that person, read their body language, and tell me if you notice anything. It's just probably preferential treatment. I've picked it up immediately because I'm constantly on guard, watching out for it. Whereas I suppose John isn't completely aware of it. So things like that. And I guess probably silly things like when we go traveling with the kids. Things that you have to stay together as a family unit, because not everyone would immediately identify the four of us as a family. They would identify the three of us as a family, but not John. So it's probably little nuisance like that.
I mean, it's probably that kind of white privilege thing, isn't it? That I don't see it because I've not experienced it, but I think for me it's been an education piece, certainly since the boys have come along, that just being aware of that, things that I take for granted is not the same environment and the same situation for the boys or for Abby. And I think that's been an education piece, because it's something that I've grown up white household, predominantly white friends, but I've got friends with different ethnicities and things. But I think that it became a lot more evident and a lot more obvious, I would say. So.
Okay.
Interesting. And so with things like education, as you mentioned, and because I've got some other multiracial family friends, and one of the things they sort of have, I won't say issues, they chat about is the black parents going hard on education and the white parents going, it's okay, take it easy on them. And then with things like discipline, like how much time they spend on computer and things like that. How has that been for both of you? Do you meet
I think
broadly?
We're very unprepared parents.
Okay.
I think sometimes the kids have more sense than we do sometimes.
Okay.
And I think for me, again, I think everyone carries a certain baggage with them, and there were probably aspects of my childhood I didn't enjoy. and I don't really want that for my kids. So I have to say, probably with the discipline, we're quite lax with the discipline, and probably with the educational aspect of it, we're middle ground. We're middle ground with that. But luckily for me, John's very clever, and even luckily for me, both boys have inherited his brain cells.
So at a minimum, they'll be fine.
Yes.
I think with the two of them, we've got different challenges because they are very different personalities. They've got different strengths and weaknesses, and I think we have to manage them very differently. I think with Ollie, the youngest, he just picks things up like that. Very clever, kind of fine socially, no problems at all. He's top of his class at everything, and that's without really trying, to be honest. He's always been probably too smart for his own good at times, but he is smart. Whereas Joshua's he's neurodiverse, so he does have challenges. He struggles in social environments. He has certain triggers so the way we've had to manage him has probably been more hands-on. So that's been a kind of learning journey in itself.
Yes,
hasn't it?
and again with that one, I suppose with Joshua was more eye-opening for both of us, but more so a learning curve for me, because in the sort of Lagos, Nigeria environment, I can only speak for that. It's very fast-paced. You're like fast. There isn't any time to analyze a child or anything like that. So I think initially I used to get frustrated with Joshua. Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you like other kids? So it took me a while to sort of sit back and identify him for who he is, not what I think other people expect my child to be. And then we finally sort of worked around that, and then found out physically he's amazing. There isn't any sport he just excels at everything, and he's very emotional.
He's very sensitive. Very sensitive. Yeah, like he's like kids his own age. He seems to butt heads sometimes, and he struggles. But see the little kids. You trust him with little babies and things because he's just brilliant. He just looks after them, very caring and sensitive. But yeah.
Yes. And I think speaking about Joshua and the parenting, and you and I and the slight difference, during COVID, we had a lot of playtime and play dates with other kids. And I think that was quite challenging for Joshua. So I think that was probably the first time he realized he was different from everybody else. And he would say things like he wanted to have flat hair. And for a very long time, I didn't know what flat hair meant. Until we then realized, because he's got curly hair, and then he wanted flat hair. And Joshua and Ollie's genetics are very different, because Ollie's got straight hair. I mean, it would curl up if it's long, but it's straight if it's really short. So I think Joshua was having challenges, and there was a fallout within a group of friends as well. And John got really, really upset about it. And he was going to go speak to the parents and say, he feels as if it's a bit of racism against his child. So I had to explain to John that they're all age 6, so they don't really know. So you can't really go and traumatize that family by calling your 6-year-old a racist. I know, right?
Are you actually going to go out?
Well, some of the terminology used was racist. So it was racist. But I think I don't know. I think COVID was just a unique experience for everyone.
That it was.
Just sweep it under the COVID rug.
Yes,
COVID.
All right. That's actually very interesting. And how old is Holly?
So Ollie is 8.
Okay. And Joshua's
9, but he'll be 10 in September.
Oh, lovely. Okay. So, like you said, I guess, maybe this is for you, John. So talking about, because he's 8 and, sorry, my brain, 9?
9 and 8.
9 and 8.
Yeah. I know.
Okay, all right.
18 months.
He just kicked. Okay, all right. Wow, so that's like almost raising twins then, growing up.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to try for a third, but...
Wow, you're strong.
On your own there.
Okay, so what's the routine been like for you then, growing up with them and, of course, parenting them, activities? Because honestly, I can work without kids having their schedule, like having bedtime, dinner time. So are you very strict with it? What activities as well? Because for my kids, they've got activities every day of the week other than, I think, Saturdays and Fridays, I believe. I think just Saturday is free, actually. So my point is, like, what activities are they engaged in? What's your routine like now?
So the football is the main thing that's taken over. We used to do lots of different activities, but now they're both football mad, and so that's 6 days a week for us. So the only day we have off is a Friday.
6 days a week?
Yeah, and we had to actually, Ollie had another activity on a Friday, but we just had to cancel it because it was every day, and so I think we're quite, we're on time and we stick to our routine. And I think with the boys, I think when they were younger, we were much stricter with bedtime, reading, all that sort of stuff. I think now, because they're a little bit older, and with football, they'll come home from school, they'll eat, they'll go to football, and then they come back and they're hungry again, so they'll eat, and then it's bath, and so it can be 8:30 sometimes until they get to bed. But they're fine now. They've kind of put themselves to bed and things now, and they read and listen to. They've got a little radio thing that they listen to as well. So.
The interesting part for me just now, like you've said, is the football part. 6 days a week, and it's that what you want or what they want. Actually.
That's what they want. So me personally, I'm football mad. Right, I love football, but I never pushed it on them. I would kind of dip their toes in the water. So I would sort of say, "Do you want to try it?" And we go along. I still remember the first one we took Joshua to, and he was 18 months old. It was me and one of my good friends, and our boys are the same age. We're like, yeah, let's take them along to football. So we took them along to this football thing in Dalkeith, and
is that to play or to watch?
To play.
All right, okay.
Well, they were meant to play.
Yeah.
But they were more interested in climbing up the benches.
Of course, 18 months.
So we went to 2 or 3 of those, and then me and my friend both agreed, nah,
not for them.
Nah. And so I think, particularly with Joshua, we just kept dipping his toes. He went to one thing for a while, didn't really like it, but then I think at school he started playing more and more, and then one day he just turned around and said, I want to join a team. So I then went looking. There's a lot of demand for football teams, the waiting lists and everything, but we managed to get him into local team, and he's loved it. And then they've managed to rope me into coaching as well, so I thought, well, I'm there anyway. I was getting told off at games for coaching as a parent from the sidelines, so I thought, well, I might as well
do it officially.
Yeah. And then with Ollie, he was adamant, don't like football, never want to play football. I was like, okay. So when I started going to Joshua's coaching, I took Ollie with me. I said, well, do you want to help me? You can collect the footballs or pick up the cones, and then slowly just started, can I play in this drill? And then all of a sudden he's like, I want to join a team.
Oh, lovely.
And then so now they both play same club, different age groups. I actually help out with both, so I'm there 6 days a week as well.
Wow.
So it's like a second job. Abby gets a bit of free time.
Yes.
That's a lot of free time.
That sounds like good news for me, because I can think of 1,000,001 things I can do when they're away. So, like, can you give me an example? What do you do? Instagram?
Well. I can't navigate Instagram. I can't. And I mean, luckily for me, it's all worked out quite well, because I apologize to Enoch because we missed an appointment. I started a beekeeper's course. So that's sort of given me some free time to sort of learn a new skill. Okay. So I've started doing that. So whilst they're away playing football, I go and look for the bees and things like that. So
no, you're not going off topic. Let's go deeper into that. So why?
Why beekeepers? I mean, John just thinks it's the most random thing in the world, but I suffer really badly from hay fever.
Okay.
And I've sort of used medicated antihistamines, and I've sort of tried the injections, I've tried the infrared and whatever, I've tried it all, and it just really wasn't working. And somebody had mentioned to me local honey, because bees collect pollen, which I didn't know. And so I thought, local honey, and then found out that there was an apiary near where we stay, New Battle Abbey. They have their own hives, they have their beekeepers, and they run a course as well where they can train people up to be beekeepers. So I thought, oh, let me get my honey straight from the bees.
Okay.
And that was just how it just worked
Are you going
out.
to it? And how does that? So does that help with your hay fever?
Hay fever.
It should, but I haven't. I've just been too excited learning about all that,
Okay,
and
okay.
I've not quite dealt with the hay fever issues.
Okay.
It's only in summertime.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, that's-
Interesting. Yeah.
So hopefully next time I'll bring some honey.
Yes,
for you
please,
guys.
because I've got a few of my friends suffering from it, and even my daughter lately. She's been itching, and her nose has been running, and we took her in, and I think that was the only thing they could think of, but they weren't 100% sure.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking. So I think we checked, like, can kids have hay fever?
Oh
Apparently
yes,
they can.
yes.
And that actually broke my heart because I
Oh,
was like
no.
hoping that wasn't the case. Hay fever, I'm like, why?
But
She's
definitely
only
local
6 years
honey. If you
So
check
please
within
let me know
a
if-
5
yeah.
meters radius of where you stay,
Okay.
you'll be able to get one because then the pollen around there.
Okay.
So that should work.
Okay. Fingers crossed.
Interesting.
okay.
So before we continue, we just like to remind our audience at home or wherever you are that you can join the conversation. You can call us at the studio. It's 0141 530 2787. And you can WhatsApp us or send us a WhatsApp. It's 0745 990 6822. Or you can reach out to us on Facebook. It's Jambo Radio Scotland. On Twitter, it's Jambo Radio 1. On Instagram, jamboradio.scotland. And you can send us an email at info@jamboradio.co.uk. Right. So the point around football is interesting. Now I'll deviate a bit as well because I've got a boy that is interested in football as well. I remember when I first took him to football. Don't know, not interested.
Yeah.
I remember, and it was bad time as well. It was in the middle of winter, and I think we're not well dressed for it. So he was just complaining about cold throughout. And I think after that, I got the vibe that he was not interested. And personally, I was disappointed because I'm probably not as football mad as you, but I was like, it's just something. I enjoy watching football, and I still love football anyway. So I wanted him to love that with me, so we can do that together. But then strangely, I'm trying to remember how it also kicked off. He just started playing football in the garden by himself. And after a while, he started doing tricks and all that. And he just got more and more interested in it. Whenever he's watching YouTube, he's watching football stuff. And then, we started taking him we found a local club where we live. Started taking him to the club. Loves it. So if I ask him now, what's your favorite sport? He's probably going to say football. He does a lot of other sports as well. And so it's just trying to see what we can do without football. It's crazy how they go from not interested to just picking it up themselves. So it wasn't just, as I say, it wasn't forced. It was the one that just, I think there was a football, some almost deflated football in the garden, started playing with it, started doing tricks, and
you can't force them into activities. They've got to want to do it, I think.
I believe in that too, because if I'm spending my time taking you there and you're not interested, I still try, but I don't think there's any point forcing. Although some people argue that kids don't know what they want and you still need to keep trying. So I don't know, where do you then draw the line that, okay, that's it, like this kid is not interested in this particular sport? That's a question for another day.
It's interesting. It's one of those things. There's no method for it. Just their story is different from my story. It's gonna be different from someone else's story. So it's just that one that just happenstance maybe, and just hope for the best, really. With apologies.
No, it's okay.
I was gonna say, just remind our audience, we are here today with Abby and John talking about interracial or multiracial households, bringing up kids in Scotland or anywhere in the world with parents from different backgrounds.
Yes.
And we picked up on an interesting statistic at the beginning, which says 1 in 6 households in the UK are multiracial, which we found quite interesting. So you've been chatting to Abby and John, and I know you've got
I was just thinking, you said we've been talking about how they've been parenting and everything. How about the grandparents? What's their own? I'd just like to know if there's an interesting mix they are putting into it in terms of parenting as well. Do they get very involved as well?
Can I say, please? I think I find your mom quite funny, and Granny as well. I think sometimes they forget that I'm black.
Okay.
And then they forget that the kids have black ethnicity. And because of, there was the whole Meghan Markle debacle. And they just went for it. They just went for it. And I was just sitting there just shaking my head like, oh my God. So I think sometimes they just completely forget.
Okay.
Which is good and bad. But yeah, so.
Yeah, but no, I think I would say my mum's a little bit involved. She's quite busy. She owns a business, and my grandmother's, she passed away recently, but until that point she needed quite a lot of kind of assistance and things. So my dad's not been around for a while. He passed away about 8-9 years ago.
Yeah.
Then obviously Abby's parents are in Nigeria, so your mum's been over a few times, and then we were in Nigeria last year.
Yeah, you were for like a month or something, wasn't it?
A month?
Oh no!
2
Oh
weeks.
God!
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Well, even
You have to remortgage if you go to Nigeria for a month.
I think the boys enjoyed being around, although I think Ollie and your mum clashed.
I think that's
Both,
that's a
strong
discipline.
personalities.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
So
If you
Ollie's
don't mind.
the younger one.
No, Ollie's the older one.
No, Ollie's the younger one.
Josh is the older one.
It's Josh.
Look
Josh
at
is the
you. Look
older
at
one.
you. You've not been paying attention.
All right. Okay. My bad. So Josh is the older one,
Yes.
and then fine. But I still understand the stories for both of them. Just okay.
It's okay. You're
So
forgiven.
all right, that's fine.
To be fair, I usually call them child 1 and child 2 because, especially when we go out, I'm like, right, John, can you see child 1, child 2? As long as I can see 2 of them, I'm not really bothered about the name.
Really? Okay. So what was that between your mom and Ollie or Joshua? Was it?
I think again it was the little cultural nuances. As in, you get your grandmother would come and playfully pat you on the back because I will beat you.
And he was like,
What? I was like,
what are you on about?
You want to fight me? and then he's punching this old woman. Oh my goodness.
You should have seen the looks on all of Abby's cousins' faces who live in fear of Abby's mum.
Yes.
And they just look at this little boy punching. It was,
that's funny.
So I think my mum was taken aback and she literally collapsed on the floor just laughing because it never happened to her before.
Ollie's very headstrong, and he, Ollie could come into a room full of adults and he will act like an adult. He will chat away, hold conversation, and things. So he's very much like, he almost thinks he's on levels with adults in terms of he deserves respect, he deserves all these things. And I think your mum can, I think she was just like poking him
like a kid.
and he was just like,
okay,
what are you doing?
Okay.
Whereas Joshua was just like,
I think it was helping her with like her bag and he sort of understood she was older and was like helping her and all that.
But it's funny you said that. So that links into my next thoughts around, we've got the Nigerian identity, the Scottish identity. So how does that play out for the kids? Is that something you discuss with them?
So we've I think we sort of went into the relationship thinking about the two of us and being adults. We didn't really think of the implications when you have a child, and there wasn't really any objections from your family or any objections from my family being in an interracial marriage, so that was not an issue. So we kind of just went through life and like, woohoo, we've got this, and then we had the kids, and then things around us was beginning to change. I think probably the first thing was the Black Lives Matter. So there was a whole protest, and then we kind of like discussed if we should go and if we should take the kids with us, because this is that was that moment in time, wasn't it?
It was
so you
COVID,
had to be
so
vocal. You just couldn't just say, right, that's you. So we went along and we took the kids, made our little signs, and we took them along with us. And I think after that, we sort of tried to make a conscious effort to involve them in more community of people that looked like me, because we were in Scotland, so majority of what they would have around them will be people who look like their dad and not so much like their mum. So, I mean, that was one of another reasons our hill walking group, the BSA, we sort of made a conscious effort to look for communities like that. And at some point, we actually thought about moving into centre of Edinburgh as well, because it's a lot more diverse, so they can have more people. So, and I think it was Joshua actually that highlighted it, the order he was getting. We went to the States a few years ago, and it was at my brother's house, my sister-in-law, my mom was there, everyone was there. It was my brother's 50th, and Simi performed at the birthday party.
Okay, I love Simi.
So it was, everyone was there. So and then he had a great time. We had a great time because we didn't have to look after them. There were loads of people. And I actually thought it was interesting when we came back. He didn't say to me, but he said to his dad, he goes, "Why was everyone brown in America?" So he said that to his dad, but not to me. And I remember I have a friend who was in an interracial relationship, and she said to me that was what her son did as well, because they covered slavery at school. And I think he was about 9, and he got really upset, and he came home and said to his dad, "Why did people like you do that to mama?" and things like that. So in the back of my head, I knew conversation like that was maybe going to come up. But at the same time, I didn't know how to address it. So I think when he said that, I was like, right, John, we need to get more involved and do all that. So luckily we found that lovely community, didn't we, with the hill walking group. And it was really, especially for Joshua, who's quite reserved and so it was lovely seeing him being celebrated, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think good. Joshua, when we were over in America, he felt more comfortable being, because there's a big Nigerian community in Augusta where Abby's brother lives and things, so they're constantly surrounded by lots of Nigerian kids, cousins, and he just, you could see he just felt a lot more comfortable there. I think he's a lot more aware of his differences, whereas Ollie's, I think, almost doesn't.
I get what you mean, because that's exactly where my son is at the moment. My son is 8 as well, and I think it's just like that. He's just not conscious of these things. Like he knows. I don't know if he even notices. Sometimes I wish I could get in his head to know, but he comes home sometimes and says, "Oh," and one day he mentioned someone in his class and said, "Oh, the peach guy." And I was like, "Peach? Like, what do you mean?" Like, "Oh, I'm brown, so I've got this peach friend." So that was the first time ever he made any reference to color. So that was when I realized it's actually taken him about 8 years or so to realize that is a bit different. And at that point, just like you said, I didn't know what to say to him. I just thought, just leave him alone, let him find out whatever he wants to, or should I then tell him, actually, yes, you've got different colors? I just decided to keep quiet. I'm like, you know what, let him just be.
Yes, I think I probably did the same approach with you. I wanted them to come and tell us their experiences, and then we can sort of guide them, because I wasn't sure how much information to pass on, because I am quite political. John is not as political as I am, and I can just take that story right back to your empire and who's Brandon Fordio and Judge of I can take it way too far. So I wanted them to come to us, and then would sort of go with it. And I guess we're in such a beautiful space. We're not in like an aggressive environment where we have to remind them all the time. You need to watch your back. That's You're different. There are people out there to get you. You need to be careful. So we're lucky we're not in that environment. So I do take advantage of that and not overwhelm them. Yes.
But I think as well, like, so Joshua probably, I think, if you look at Joshua's friendship group.
Yes.
They're all different ethnicities, and whereas I think Ollie's almost the opposite. And I don't think he sees it, whereas I think Joshua's more aware and more comfortable around different ethnicities and things like that. So it's funny that they're very different. And it's not something we've pushed either way, but it's just their personalities.
I think you're right. So you mentioned BSA. So BSA is Black Scottish Adventurers, and I've seen Joshua. He plays more with the other kids than Ollie.
Yeah.
Do you agree or will you agree?
Yes.
Yeah, that's my observation anyway. So that ties into what you just said, John, around, Joshua is more like, yep, I will
he's more
I'll vibe with you guys.
Yeah. I think he's like, my people.
Even though it's once a month, let's go.
And the most annoying thing, it doesn't matter how much or how many times I make jollof rice. It doesn't eat my jollof rice. He only eats the jollof rice from BSA.
No.
He even went to Nigeria. He did not.
He was asking for the BSA jollof rice.
He goes, is this BSA jollof rice?
This is an advert from BSA jollof rice.
Oh, that's interesting. You didn't tell me that. Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
No, I'm fine. No, I know you've got a lot to.
No. It's just for anyone out there, maybe going into an interracial relationship, or maybe eventually will have interracial kids or mixed race kids. Drawing on your own experiences over 9-10 years and years of dating and being married, do you have any advice or anything you want to share with them? It doesn't have to be anything serious.
Or what would you do differently if that makes it easier?
I think because we're in Scotland and it's predominantly white, and they're quite entrenched in my side of the fence in terms of culture and things like that. So I think we've really tried to make a real conscious effort to educate them and allow them to experience Abby's background, culture, experiences and things like that. And I think that's really important because they do have that dual heritage, and it's important that they know where they come from. They know about where we've been to Lagos now, so they know where Abby grew up. They've met, been in the house, they've chased those cats in the grounds. They've experienced that, and I think BSA has been brilliant for them. Just getting Joshua to eat jollof rice, to be honest, but and the spicy chicken. He eats the chicken with one hand, and he's got a bottle of water in the other hand. Oh, really? So
like I'm doing this.
Yeah. So I think it's just really important for the boys to experience both sides and experience that. So.
Is there anything you would, like, looking back now, that you would have done differently if you had to advise any couple interracial couple like yourself?
I think, what I did do was I read up a lot, but I read up a lot about how older biracial people identify themselves and what struggles they maybe had when they were younger, and I had to understand that it's quite fluid. Okay. So I sort of read up on a lot of that. So that way, I didn't want to sort of put the boys in a box, because from all the sort of different materials I've been reading and things like that, they can wake up one day and say, do you know what, I'm fully Scottish. They can wake up another day and go, I'm fully Nigerian. They could wake up another day and say, right, I'm actually biracial. So I just want them to feel comfortable to identify themselves by themselves, not for other people to identify them. Because if we stayed in America, chances are if the boys get older, they probably just identify as black and say that we're black.
Yeah, because in America, that's what it is.
But then at the same time, I think that would be quite unfair on their dad, because I think when we were pregnant, I don't know, you were getting quite annoyed because a lot of my friends were saying, oh, you're going to make such lovely black babies. And John was just like, but it's my,
what am I in this?
It's my DNA too. It's my DNA.
Sorry, man, I feel your pain.
I mean, I even had to, one of my friends, I had to fact check him because he'd said, he didn't, he was just sort of saying to someone, I think, John's got black kids, and I was like, wait a minute. No, I don't.
Is that fact right?
Yeah, I was
statistically, that's 50%.
No, but I was like, you can't. It's not. Life's not black and white. And because you're talking about peach, right? And the boys use that terminology from school as well. But remember, they used to talk about shades and things, and I think that was such a nice analogy, because it's like, even people, you know, that are white. You've got some people that are like, you know,
it's different.
50 shades, as they say.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a spectrum. It's you know, and I think that's the way we've got to think about it. It's not you know, it's not one or the other.
But I do try and sort of remind the boys all the time that I am brown. And especially when I get my braids on, the boys are like, a brown girl and her braids. A brown girl and her braids.
Yeah. Is that a song?
I saw it on Insta. I was on Insta one time.
So I sort of like to sort of like remind. So I just remind the kids all the time, and I say to them, "Look, you're 100% daddy. You're 100% mummy. And, you know, you're my beautiful golden boys." So I sort of just try and so they know that they're your mummy, they're your daddy, and
So you use brown. So is brown the used word in the household? Or?
So we let them come up with it. Okay. So they came up with peach and light brown and then brown. But now,
so I fall in the light brown category.
Well,
my son tells me, "Mom, we're both light brown," and then Tamilola, that's my daughter, she's dark brown. I'm like, every color is beautiful, Costa. Yeah, that's just what I say. Well, yeah, you're right. It's so funny how they've just decided to give different names to all the colors. And yeah, you're right, because sometimes when it says peach, it goes like, and there's another one which is almost yellow, and I'm like, okay, I get what you mean. Maybe that one is a bit more pale than another person. So it's just so, I wonder what goes on in their head, like I said earlier. But I'm just sure that Costa is aware. I don't know if he understands what everything means yet, but we haven't discussed it, and I'm just happy to let things be like that for now.
I think when a safe space that we can't do that. I think that's where that privilege comes in. Because if we grew up in South Africa with apartheid, it'd be completely different. If we stayed in America
definitely
in a particular area that was probably run down or a lot of poverty, there might be. Or even if we stayed in Scotland, but stayed in an area where the demographics was not that great. So I think we're quite in a space that we can, which when I meet people and they tell me about their experiences, I sort of say it's really important to listen to them and validate it. Just because we're not going through those experiences, me saying, but I'm not experiencing that's not helpful at all. To try and sort of like empathize. And then
and speaking of experiences, so again, some of the mixed race or interracial families I've seen or met or know, some of them intentionally make friends with other interracial families. Have you done that as well? Have you been intentional about that? Or?
No, I wouldn't say intentional.
No, I think we haven't been. I think it's the whole common ground.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's just people we've sort of connected with.
Yeah. Okay.
And
we'd rather actually have something in common.
Just let it
happen organically. Kind of organically.
And the big question. So you said you've got two boys that play really good football. You know where this is going, right?
Yeah.
Let's say they really make it to the top and they've got to pick a country to play for.
No, they can choose.
But they have. I think Ollie's always said Scotland, but Joshua said maybe Scotland or Nigeria.
Okay.
He's always said both.
Well, they keep winding up Abby and saying England because Abby was born in England. So.
Okay.
That's an option as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Would you want that?
No, nobody wins in that one. So.
And a very random one in terms of, because I'm a foodie, I love my food. So, do you normally do mostly Nigerian meals, or is it like John does the cooking sometimes, or he knows how to cook Nigerian? Because I know of a family where the white lady cooks for like she makes. I think ours is one of the best I've tasted so far. Yeah, she's white.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think unfortunately for me...
Fortunately or unfortunately?
Unfortunately, okay. I think when I was younger, I probably rebelled too much. So that I didn't learn the basics of making my F4 and my pounded yam or amala. Or so my that cooking is quite basic because...
Okay.
That's probably one of my biggest regrets. I shouldn't have rebelled so much. I should have spent more time in the kitchen with my mother. Okay. But I think I was why can't I be out playing with my brothers? Because I had two brothers and I didn't have any aunties. Both my mom's got two brothers. My dad had brothers. And I had 2 brothers, so the last thing I wanted to do was to be
the only one
being in the kitchen cooking. So I wanted to be where the boys were. So I used to play football when I was younger, and I used to do love running when I was younger. And but I can make really good jollof rice, really good fried rice, and make some chicken stew, meat stew. You're a bit funny with F4. You don't really like.
No.
Is the egusi, the melon seeds?
Meat and rice, I'm good.
Yes.
Anything beyond that?
Yes.
Right, okay.
But you like plantains.
Plantain.
Just I call them like party food, you know, like the little.
The easy,
easy.
You like puff? Okay.
Oh my God.
How about moi?
Anyone that doesn't like
Chin
puff
chin.
needs to be checked.
Oh wait, Costa doesn't. My son doesn't like puff.
It needs to be checked. There you go. That's a law.
So can I ask both of you a question?
Yeah, sure.
So on parenting, is it different having a boy and a girl?
Oh, okay. I see what you mean because you've got 2 boys. Okay.
I can go first. So again, because of how we've been brought up and knowing how the world works now, I don't want it to be different. So there's no case of, oh, you're the girl, you're cleaning the kitchen. Nah, man, everybody does everything. And even with the activities as well. And it's, so the boy is the older one. So the girl generally just does what the boy does. So he started going to athletics. She said, oh, I want athletics too. He started singing. She said, oh, I want to sing as well. So basically, she's just been following him. But with regards to gender roles at home, we've not done that because there's no point. I mean, this is 2024, right?
Yes.
And then even with things like color, I go against. Like, so for example, if my boy says, oh, boys wear blue, I'm like, nah, just wear whatever you want. If you want to wear pink, like wear pink and things like that. So that's my own. I don't know if you go.
Yeah, I'll just echo what you said. Really, for the most part, that's how we go about it. And I let Tamilola stay in the kitchen with me. I think this is just my own personal preference. Costa, if he wants to, can join, but the girl, she's interested, and most of the time she's always asking, Mom, how can I help? So I love her to be able to, I don't know, because they love Nigerian food so much. Like my kids, they eat some of the Western ones, but Nigerian food is just the go-to for them. So I just try to get them involved in making the food as well when I'm preparing meals and all that. So
I'm going to rush you up there. We've got 3 minutes to go.
So
we've got a tradition here on the show. Don't be scared. Where the last guest leaves a tip or an advice for the next guest without necessarily knowing who the next guest, just general life tips. So the last guest, we had two folks, and the advice they shared was, there's no rehearsal to life, just run with it. And the second one was just like, take things easy. Don't take things too seriously. So that was their tip for
the
you
next
guys.
Guest, yeah.
So we need you guys to give us tips for the next guest. So anything, it doesn't have to be.
Oh, they've stolen mine.
Come on, John.
Just be open-minded and just say yes to things.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to say yes to things.
Okay.
Try new things. Like going for radio interviews when you're not comfortable speaking on radio.
And how has this been for you? Like in the last?
It's good. I think it's good to talk. It's good to share experiences and things. So it's and it's good to see you guys again because we've not been on a BS.
We had to bring you to the show to see you. And anything for our next guest, Abby?
I would probably say be yourself, be authentic. I would definitely say that. And I think probably having both of you and knowing both of you, probably 2 of the loveliest people we know.
Oh, thanks.
So I think I would say definitely getting a chance just to hang out with you guys.
Abby, come on.
So no, we weren't going to pass on that. We weren't going to pass on that opportunity, were we?
No.
Yeah.
Thanks for the kind words. So be authentic self.
Authentic and be open-minded. I think those are really too simple, but I think if we all can embrace that, that thinking around just be yourself, because especially for those of us that have moved from wherever we've come from to here, we can easily lose ourselves in just trying to blend, trying to just, but just be yourself. Yourself is what the world needs, not a refined version of you. Right, on that note, that will be all from us today. We've been talking about interracial parenting. And I hope, or we hope, myself and Sade hope you've enjoyed the show. Hope you've learned something, or if you've not learned something, hope you've at least
enjoyed the chat.
Enjoyed the chat, yeah. And thank you very much, John. Thank you very much, Abby.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for having
that is us for the week.
Yeah.
Until the next show, it's been me, Enoch, and Sade.
Sade. See you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.